Discover the incredible moment a billionaire's daughter learns from a homeless girl. Life-changing. Emily Donovan had always lived in a shimmering bubble of privilege. Her life in that golden tower overlooking Lake Michigan was flawless: spa weekends, exclusive school trips, the latest designer clothes, and parties where laughter echoed like a sweet melody. But all of that came crashing down with 3 simple words from her father: "It's time you see." The words hung heavy in the air, their weight pressing down on her like an anchor. Community service. Exasperated by her entitlement, he sent her off to a world where luxury dissolved, leaving Emily feeling like a gilded prisoner. As she stepped into the bustling streets of a working-class neighborhood, her heart raced. Everything felt foreign: colors vibrant and chaotic compared to the pastel hues of her sheltered life. The aroma of spices mingled with the distant sound of laughter, yet an invisible wall separated her from the people around her. On her very first day at a local shelter, setting up tables and distributing meals, Emily was enveloped by flickering emotions, a symphony of despair and resilience. That's when she met Lily. The 12-year-old girl's laughter danced, echoing like music in Emily's ears. It felt contagious, yet bittersweet, tainted by the weight of reality. Homeless and wise beyond her years, Lily held dreams of becoming a doctor, her light shining brighter than any chandelier Emily had ever seen. Emily felt an unexpected tug in her heart. As Lily shared stories of hope that glimmered amid adversity, layers of the world around Emily started to peel away. Those layers revealed a humanity she had never encountered. The 2 girls quickly struck an unexpected friendship that began to blur the lines of their perceived realities. Emily was captivated and inspired, but an internal war brewed in her heart. Every night, she returned to the opulence of her Lincoln Park home, the whispering voices of her elite friends clouding her thoughts. "You can't really care about them," they scoffed. "They'll just drag you down." Caught between empathy and expectation, the dilemma grew heavier each day. Just as she decided to help Lily pursue her dreams, disaster struck. An avalanche of scandal buried her father's company under accusations of fraud, shaking the luxurious existence they had built. The once opulent towers now felt like prisons. The media buzzed with chaos, and pressure mounted like a tidal wave, teetering on the brink of collapse. Suddenly, wealth and status dangled in the balance, leaving Emily trapped between 2 worlds: her family's fading fortune and the girl who taught her the meaning of resilience. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The clock was ticking, and the stakes were high. Should she choose loyalty to her family or embrace the humanity she admired through Lily's eyes? Would she stand by her newfound friend when it mattered most? Doubt cast a shadow over her heart, and the foundations of her privileged life trembled. Would Emily rise from her father's shadow and embrace a life that resonated with the dignity she had come to cherish? The world was waiting for her choice, primed for tension, and nothing felt certain anymore. Emily stood at the crossroads of her life, the weight of her father's expectations pressing down on her like an iron shroud. As she tossed and turned in her plush bed, surrounded by familiarity but feeling more alone than ever, she couldn't shake Lily's smile from her mind. The laughter, the hope, and the raw honesty of that girl had entered her heart, unearthing emotions she never knew existed. Dawn broke through her heavy curtains, bathing the room in soft golden light. Yet, it only reminded her of the cold reality waiting outside. She sprang up and got ready, her heart pounding with anticipation and fear. What would she face today at the shelter? Would Lily be there? As she made her way through the fog of her thoughts, one thing was clear: meeting Lily had opened a door in her soul. A door she now found herself desperate to keep open. The bus ride felt longer that day, every bump jarring her as she thought of how to share her newfound ambitions with Lily. A plan formed in her mind, one that could bridge the gap between their worlds. They could team up to hold a fundraiser, gather supplies for the shelter, and help more kids like Lily chase their dreams. The thought of it excited her, but then the nagging worry crept in. What would her friends think? More importantly, what would her father say if he found out she was pouring her energy into a lost cause instead of reclaiming their family's dignity? When she finally arrived at the shelter, the familiar blend of voices and sounds wrapped around her like an old blanket. But today it felt different. Today she wasn't just a hesitant participant. She was determined to make a difference. Emily hurried inside, scanning the crowd until her gaze fell on Lily, sitting cross-legged on the floor, sharing stories with a group of younger kids. With scruffy hair framed around her face, there was an ethereal beauty about her that transcended everything Emily had ever known. "Lily!" Emily called out, unable to contain herself. Lily's eyes lit up the moment she saw Emily, an instant connection that broke through the bubble of despair surrounding them. Grinning, she scampered over, her energy contagious. "Emily! I was hoping you'd come today." As they hugged, a warmth enveloped Emily, but it was tinged with an undercurrent of urgency. "Can we talk? I have an idea." Surprised, but clearly intrigued, Lily nodded, and they found a quieter corner. The chatter faded into a gentle hum as Emily explained, her heart racing with excitement and fear. "What if we organized a fundraiser? We could gather supplies for kids at the shelter. It could give them hope and maybe even inspire others to help." Lily's eyes widened, filled with a mix of disbelief and joy. "Do you think we could really do that?" "Together, I know we can," Emily said, the weight of her own uncertainties momentarily lifted. As they planned, little by little, the barriers of their worlds began steadily crumbling. Emily found herself laughing alongside Lily, sharing dreams beneath the flickering fluorescent lights. It felt like freedom in a way she had never experienced, but just then, through the largely locked door, a shadow loomed. The sound of clicking heels echoed outside, the unmistakable sound of her father's assistant. Emily's heart dropped as reality crashed back in. Her father had sent her to check on her, to remind her that their family needed her. What would she do? Would she let those whispers of wealth and expectation drown out the voice of purpose she was beginning to hear? "Lily, but before she could finish, the door swung open, demanding her attention. The assistant's voice cut through the air. "Emily, we need to talk. It's urgent." Caught between two worlds once again, she stood frozen. How could she choose between her family and the girl who showed her the power of hope? And just like that, everything she had fought for was hanging in the balance, and the decision loomed before her like an unforgiving tide. Would she dive in or let it sweep her away? Emily felt the walls of the shelter close in around her. The cheerful laughter of the kids and the bright murals on the walls blurred into the background. Her breathing quickened as she stared at her father's assistant, a woman with perfectly styled hair and a clipboard in her hand, oblivious to the ripple of turmoil crashing through Emily's heart. "What's this about?" Emily managed, her voice steadier than she felt. She didn't want to let Lily down, not now when everything was just beginning to change. "We need to discuss your involvement in family matters. Your father has specific expectations, and it's time you focused on those," the assistant replied, a hint of impatience creeping into her tone. Emily glanced over her shoulder at Lily, who stood watching with wide, uncertain eyes. In that moment, the warmth of their connection felt like a lifeline. "I appreciate that," but she struggled to find her words, frustration boiling within her. "But I can't just abandon what's happening here." Her father's assistant raised a well-manicured eyebrow. "This is not about abandonment, Emily. It's about responsibility." "I know responsibility." She shot back, realizing that her voice had risen a notch too high. The murmurs of the kids around her seemed to fade even further. "But maybe my responsibility isn't what you think it is." Lily stepped closer, her small voice quiet but firm. "Emily, if this is important to you, we can find a way to make it work, right? Like you said together." Hearing those words sent goosebumps racing across her skin. Lily believed in her, in this idea. And suddenly, Emily felt a rush of determination. "You're right," she said, her heart pounding in her chest. "This matters to me, and I can't just walk away from something that can help so many kids, including you." The assistant narrowed her eyes. "You'll be making a mistake." "Maybe that's a risk I'm willing to take," Emily replied, her voice firm. The fire in her belly ignited, daring to challenge everything she had always known. Just as the tension coiled tightly, a spark of laughter erupted from the group of kids nearby, breaking the oppressive atmosphere. Seeing them enjoying life despite their circumstances reminded Emily of why she was here. It was about hope, connection, and dreams flourishing against all odds. The assistant opened her mouth, likely to object, but Emily didn't wait. She turned, taking Lily's hand. "Let us go back to our planning. We can share our idea with others and make it real." Lily's face broke into a radiant smile, and it lit up Emily's heart, her doubts starting to take a back seat. The two of them hurried back to their corner, where the world outside faded away. In that bubble of warmth and ambition, they laid their plans on the fragility of paper, their hopes dancing in the air. Hours went by as they brainstormed potential ideas for the fundraiser. With every mention of bake sales, donation drives, and community talent shows, Emily felt the weight on her chest lift, replaced by a buoyancy she hadn't expected. It was liberating to think beyond herself, but that feeling was abruptly shattered when she glanced at her phone, displaying a slew of missed calls. Each notification felt like another lash of reminder from her father, a bell tolling in warning. Emily's heart sank, scanning the list of contacts. Each name felt like a thread pulling her back into a life she didn't want. She shared a glance with Lily, whose face held an expression of shared concern. "What if he gets angry?" Lily asked, chewing on her bottom lip. "But what if he doesn't?" Emily countered, her voice trembling with a mix of hope and trepidation. The prospect of facing her father again began to harden into something solid, an undeniable decision hanging above them. "Sometimes, breaking expectations leads to the best kind of freedom," she whispered, unsure if she even believed her own words, but deep down, she knew she had to follow this new path set before her no matter the outcome. Standing at the crossroads yet again, would she risk everything for this flicker of change, as the shelter buzzed? Around them, Emily grasped Lily's hand tighter, feeling the hope of their endeavor brighten the room. Outside, thunder rolled ominously in the distance, hinting at an impending storm. Would their plans ride out the tumult, or would everything she fought for come crashing down around them? The thunder rumbled louder, mirroring the uncertainty in her heart. And in that moment, determination coiled tightly within her, a thread of courage hiding beneath layers of expectation. What choice would she make when her father comes looking for her? Emily could hardly keep her mind focused as they moved back to their planning space. The storm outside mirrored her swirling thoughts, each rumble a reminder of the tension waiting to explode. She felt a sense of urgency fueling her as she wondered what her father's reaction might be. "Let us brainstorm a bit more," Emily suggested, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She needed to distract herself, to escape the weight of her father's expectations looming over her like an unshed storm cloud. Lily nodded enthusiastically. "What if we add a talent show? Everyone has a gift to share. I can sing." Her eyes sparkled with anticipation. Emily chuckled softly, picturing Lily standing on stage, face lit with passion. "That's perfect. And we could invite local businesses like the bakery down the street or that new cafe. They might want to sponsor us or donate." The possibilities seemed endless, and for a moment, the worry faded. But deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling of dread creeping back. If they succeeded, it would mean a bold step toward independence. If they failed, it could mean life as her father envisioned, one of privilege but void of passion. As twilight approached, an air of excitement infused their corner of the shelter, the warmth from their shared dreams weaving an invisible bond between them. The kids around them sensed the energy too, gathering closer, curiosity twinkling in their eyes. "Can we help too?" one of the boys asked, his hands resting on his hips, looking hopeful. "Of course. We need all of you." Emily exclaimed, adrenaline rushing through her veins. This was community. This was possibility. She felt the shift within herself, the yearning to stand tall and grasp fate by the reins. With renewed fervor, they divided tasks. Emily took ownership of coordinating the talent show, while Lily and the others sketched out ideas for the bake sale. Emily's heart raced as she felt the magic of teamwork igniting the shelter. Here, together, they were building something worth fighting for, but just as their shared enthusiasm started to form solid shapes, her phone buzzed with new alerts. The piercing sound connected back to her father. Each buzz tugged at her like a physical pull to return to his world. She stared at the screen in a churning mix of anxiety and defiance. They just one stop, will they? Lily observed, her voice soft, showing concern. I just need him to understand my choice, Emily replied, but the reality of that statement began to cloud with doubt. What if he never did? The thunder shook the walls of the shelter, a deafening roar that cut through her spiraling thoughts. It felt almost as if the universe itself was aware of the impending confrontation. Would it be a storm of words? Or just a passing cloud? As the laughter of children mixed with the rumbling outside, uncertainty built like the storm raging overhead. Emily took a deep breath, her pulse quickening. She squeezed Lily's hand tightly, feeling the power of their connection. No matter what happens, we're in this together, right? Always. Lily shot back with conviction, raising her free hand in a mock toast, a smile breaking through the tension. Emily's heart swelled with gratitude. If she lost everything, she wouldn't lose this moment, this bond. But the harsh reality remained as the next thunderstrike echoed ominously, a reminder that she would soon face her father's wrath, and just as they prepared to dive back into their plans, the shelter door swung open. A gust of cold wind rushed in, and a figure stepped inside her father, unmistakable even in the dim light. Shock spread through the room like wildfire. Emily felt every heart in the shelter stop for a split second. Would this confrontation solidify her resolve or tear her apart? Would she stand her ground and redefine her future, or would she succumb to the weight of familial expectations? The room filled with an electric tension. Emily inhaled sharply, bracing herself for the coming storm. What would her father say? How would she respond? Emily's heart pounded in her chest as her father stepped further into the shelter, the air thickening with disbelief. She could see his tailored suit, completely out of place here. The dark fabric contrasted sharply against the backdrop of worn-out benches and peeling paint. Emily. His voice boomed, authoritative and filled with concern. It was an all-too-familiar tone that squeezed hard on her vulnerabilities. What are you doing in a place like this? The room felt smaller, the kids watching with wide eyes as if they were witnesses to a showdown. Emily swallowed hard, the warmth and determination that filled her moments ago suddenly feeling like it was being siphoned away. She straightened up, trying to hold on to that spark of bravery. Dad, I'm helping. We're planning a community event. His brow furrowed deeper, a mix of confusion and frustration. This is not where you belong, Emily. You have responsibilities. You could be out there. He gestured broadly, likely envisioning prestige and plenty, making a name for yourself, not wasting time with not wasting time. She cut in, her voice stronger than she expected. It was as if a dam had broken, allowing her true feelings to rush out. These kids matter. This community matters. I'm tired of living for your dreams. I want my own. Lily stood beside her, nodding in agreement. Emily could see the spark in her friend's eyes, a reflection of her own determination. But as she glanced back at her father, his expression hardened into something more formidable. Is this really how far you've fallen? His words were sharp, and Emily felt each one cut deep. Do you even know what you're saying? Yes. I do. She shouted, the fury mixing with her fear, leaving her breathless. I'm not falling anywhere. I'm rising. A low murmur spread through the group of kids, each echoing the tension that had long been brewing. Emily's resolve felt powerful, but she feared the potential consequences of this clash. Her father stepped forward, his frame commanding attention. "Emily, think about your future. This is beneath you." "Beneath me?" she repeated, consciously lowering her voice to steady herself. "Maybe I'm finally starting to see things clearly. It's not about me. It's about what we can do together." "Together?" he scoffed, shaking his head in disbelief. "You think you can change the world from a shelter like this? I think I can start here." Emily's voice wavered but held firm, a quiet defiance rising within her. The words hung in the air intensely, a challenge laid bare between them. She couldn't deny that the fear of his disapproval had anchored her for so long. That anchor now felt like a burden, weighing her down. The storm outside raged on, echoing the tumult of emotions swirling in the room. With every clap of thunder, she felt more liberated, as if the storm itself were urging her on. "Emily." Her father's tone shifted, sounding almost desperate. "Do you think this is a game? You'll just play out your little fantasies and everything will be fine? I'm tired of pretending. This is who I am now." The passion rose like a river, pulling her forward in a tide of conviction. Across the room, she caught the gaze of a little girl sitting cross-legged on the floor, her eyes wide and hopeful. That glance ignited something in Emily's heart, a longing for more, for real connections, for purpose. Just then, her father's phone buzzed loudly, cutting through their intense standoff. His attention wavered as he glanced at the screen, the facade of control briefly slipping. Emily took a deep breath, sensing the moment of vulnerability. "Dad, please just try to understand." But before she could think further, he raised a hand, silencing her, his face turning hard again. "Understanding isn't enough. You need to wake up from this dream and remember who you are." The pressure mounted in the air, and with it came the stirring realization that this could change everything. Could she really find a way to bring her father into her world? Or was this the moment they would finally part ways too? The tension held tight around them, and the storm outside seemed to rally behind her resolve. Emily glanced down at Lily, who offered a nod of encouragement, reassuring her she wasn't alone. But just when Emily felt she could prove herself, her father's words struck her hard. "This isn't over, Emily. Not by a long shot." His stern face began retreating toward the door, but Emily could feel the storm still brewing. What did that warning mean? A final attempt to sway her, or a promise of retribution? The uncertainty of it all left her breathless. Each heartbeat echoed loudly in her ears as she wrestled with the swirling emotions, her future dangling precariously above uncertainty. What if this was only the beginning? As her father's figure disappeared into the night, Emily was left standing with her choices, her community, and the looming question of how far she would go for her dreams. Would she seize the moment, or let fear push her back into the shadows? The shelter was quiet in the aftermath of her father's departure. Emily felt as if her heart were still racing, a wild drum beating inside her chest. The eyes of the children, wide with curiosity and uncertainty, were still on her, waiting. "Wow," one of the boys whispered, breaking the silence. "Did you really just stand up to him?" Emily swallowed, feeling both exhilarated and exposed. "I had to," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly with the aftershock of confrontation. She took a breath, wiping her clammy hands on her jeans. "He just doesn't see what's right in front of him." Lily stepped closer to Emily, her eyes shining with a mixture of pride and disbelief. "That was amazing. I can't believe you said that to him." "Yeah, but what does that even mean for me now?" Emily's heart sank. The exhilaration was quickly tinged with doubt. What if he's right? What if I am making a mistake? "No way," Lily insisted, shaking her head. "You were brave. You showed them you care." The kids murmured agreements, their small voices weaving together a chorus of support. Emily looked at them, the realization hitting her hard. These kids, with their unique struggles and dreams, were real. They were fighting their own battles just like she was. It was no longer just a plan, this was about belonging. The rain drummed on the roof, creating a soothing rhythm that wrapped around her confusion. Emily caught sight of the little girl who had been watching them closely, her cross-legged pose displaying both innocence and strength. The girl looked up at Emily, her brown eyes holding a light of hope. "What can we do?" the girl asked, her voice soft yet steady. Emily felt a rush of warmth at the question. "We can plan the event," she said, recalling the original purpose that had brought her there. "We can have games, food, maybe even a little talent show." The buzz of excitement stirred the air. The kids began to chatter, sharing ideas. Emily felt her spirits lift. In that moment, they were a team, united by the dream of bringing joy to their neighborhood. Lily grabbed a nearby notepad, scribbling down ideas as suggestions flew around the room like colorful confetti. "We should invite everyone. Like a big family gathering." As they worked, Emily noticed a small icy knot in her stomach beginning to loosen. This was her purpose, her new dream, the tangible connection she yearned for. It didn't matter if her father disapproved, this was real. They were filling their world with laughter, trying to make something beautiful from the chaos. "Hey Emily," one boy raised his hand, "can I do magic tricks? I practice all the time." "Of course." Emily grinned, her fears fading further. "You can be our magician." They brainstormed late into the evening, every idea sparking creativity and joy. Emily felt like she was stepping into a new existence, leaving behind the weight of expectation. Outside, the storm lessened but did not break, echoing the turbulence still hiding in her heart, but as they wrapped up the night, a shadow flickered across her mind. What would happen when all of this, the joy, the plans, clashed with her father's world again? With a twinge of anxiety, she took one last look at the kids gathered around her. The light from a single bulb illuminated their eager faces. Each one of them was counting on her now. Could she hold this together for them? Taking a deep breath, the warmth washed over her, not just from the fleeting sense of satisfaction, but a deeper sense of responsibility. "Tomorrow, we'll make this happen," Emily said, her voice steadier than before. "No more running from who I am or what matters to me." But even as she spoke, she felt an undercurrent of doubt whispering deep within her. What surprises lay in store for her, and would she stand strong when her father inevitably returned? As they began to disperse, the encroaching uncertainty settled around Emily once more. With nightmares lurking and hopes soaring high, she wondered, how much would this fight transform her, and could it mend the gap between her two worlds? These swirling thoughts kept her awake long into the night, and as she drifted off, she couldn't shake the feeling that tomorrow might change everything again. The morning light crept into the shelter, casting soft patterns across the worn floor. Emily rubbed the sleep from her eyes, feeling her heart beat with an undercurrent of purpose. Today was the day. They would bring their plans to life. But as she rose, a familiar weight settled in her chest, the nagging doubt about her father's looming presence still clouding her thoughts. "Ready for today?" Lily called out, bouncing into the main room with an infectious energy. Her hair was a mess, and she wore mismatched socks, but that only added to her charm. Emily had always admired her ability to see the optimistic side in everything. "Not really," Emily confessed, glancing out the window. The storm from the night before had left cool air and fresh promise outside. "I can't stop thinking about what my dad might say." Lily's face fell for a moment, but she quickly recovered. "Don't let him steal your joy. You've got this, Emily. We're all here for you." Emily smiled weakly. The assurance from her friends was like a lifeline pulling her towards the shore. But when she glanced at the kids arriving one by one, each with bright faces and boundless excitement, that joy began to flicker alive within her. They gathered in a circle, and the energy sparked. Emily noticed the little girl again, the one who had asked what they could do the night before. Her small hands fidgeted as she shifted from foot to foot, bubbling over with eagerness. "Today," the girl exclaimed. "Can we start with my idea first? The cupcake fight?" Emily couldn't help but laugh. A cupcake fight? Yes. With no desserts wasted. Just for fun. The girl's eyes widened as if this was the best invention in the universe. All right. Cupcake fight it is. Emily felt her spirit rise. They spent the next hour diving into preparations, flour and frosting flying around. Kids laughed and shouted, trying to keep their ammo balanced on their hands. Emily wanted to soak it all in their laughter, their enthusiasm. With every giggle, her worries felt a bit smaller. As the excitement grew, she noticed a figure standing at the edge of the crowd. It was her father, his presence stark and imposing, his expression unreadable. Emily's heart dropped at the sight. Seeing him brought a rush of emotions, twisting her stomach into knots again. Would he take her moment of joy and turn it into another lesson on what she should be doing? Hey! Who's that? One of the boys shouted, pointing. The laughter halted as all eyes turned to the man who had cast a shadow over her dreams. Someone I'm still trying to figure out, Emily murmured, her heart racing as she turned back to the children. They looked confused, uncertain of how to react to the unexpected visitor. She needed to protect her dreams and them from any negativity. Let's get back to it, everyone. She clapped her hands, pushing any fear deep inside her. Okay, who's ready to begin the cupcake fight? Cheers erupted in response. The kids quickly rallied around her, making their plans. For a moment, she believed she could drown out her father in whatever words he might bring. But as the first splat of frosting hit the wall, her father stepped forward, concern written all over his face. Emily, this is ridiculous. You need to be focused on your responsibilities, not wasting time here. His voice was like ice water, cutting across the excitement. Emily's heart sank, all the joy threatened to deflate in an instant. But the girl she had noticed earlier stepped forward, her determination shining bright. This is not wasting time. We're building something special. The girl's defiant stance surprised everyone, especially Emily. An unexpected fire ignited in Emily's chest, mingling with fear. Here was a child speaking truth, standing tall for their shared vision. Emily couldn't let this moment slip away. Dad, this matters, Emily said, her voice trembling but steadier now. I can't let you take this away from us. But the uncertainty still shadowed her. Would one brave moment be enough? How could she bridge this rift her father had opened? As the first cupcake flew, hitting her father right on the shoulder, Emily watched astonishment cross his features, but also an unexpected flicker of amusement. Could laughter really break through the wall he built around her? At that moment, with frosting flying and laughter echoing, Emily couldn't shake the feeling things were about to change in ways she never expected. The laughter erupted as more cupcakes flew through the air, their cream and color splattering against eager faces. Emily felt lighter, her heart dancing with the thrill of freedom. The children were caught up in a world of joy, and for a fleeting moment, it felt like nothing could come crashing down, but then, her father's expression shifted. He wiped the frosting from his shoulder, and instead of anger, a deep frown settled on his brow. Emily, stop this. Think about your future. He shouted again, the laughter faltered. A hush fell over the group. Emily's heart sank as she looked into her father's eyes, searching for some sign of understanding, for a glimpse of the love she had once felt from him. But the wall was still there, hard and unyielding. The little girl from earlier, her eyes twinkling with determination, stepped forward once more. Mister, I don't know who you are, but this is too important. We're happy. Isn't that worth something? Her tiny hands clenched into fists, her stance unwavering. Emily marveled at the girl's courage, a tenacity she had yet to find within herself. She swallowed hard, her emotions swirling. With a shaky breath, she faced her father once more. It is worth something, Dad. It's worth everything. I'm doing this for them, for us, for everyone who feels lost and forgotten. His harsh gaze softened briefly, a flicker of confusion crossing his features. But just as quickly, he hardened again. You think this is going to change anything? You'll regret not pursuing your real-life goals. The disappointment dripping from his words pierced through the moment as deeply as a knife. You don't get it, Emily replied, her voice rising against the thunderstorm of doubt and expectation. It's not about regret. It's about building something that matters. I finally see it now. All those years you taught me what I'm supposed to want. I want to be free. I want to create, I want to connect. Suddenly, another cupcake flew past, hitting her father right in the face. The shocked silence cracked like glass as frosting splattered everywhere. A laugh bubbled up from the kids, and after a moment's hesitation, Emily's father let out a reluctant chuckle. It was a genuine sound, a softer side breaking through the rigid facade. What are you doing? He sputtered, wiping the mess away, but also unable to hide the lightning in his eyes. It seemed as if, for the first time, he was seeing more than just duty and expectation, he was noticing the sheer joy radiating from the children. Having a cupcake fight. A boy shouted, and then the war resumed in full force. Emily felt hope spark in her chest. Her father was laughing, and the laughter felt big, bigger than anything between them. It echoed with possibility, but even as they played, a part of Emily held back, anxious and uncertain. What if this fleeting moment of connection changed nothing? Could something real grow from this? Her heart hammered in her chest as the war raged on, frosting flying through the air like harmless projectiles of hope. In that vibrant chaos, she looked at her father again, still caught between amusement and sternness. As eyes met, she found herself wishing for more, wishing that a single moment could open a pathway to a better relationship, but was it enough? The thought tugged at her incessantly, it was the question that would haunt her. Around her, the children were shrieking in delight, unaware of the turmoil swirling in her heart. Could she bridge the divide? Could laughter between a father and daughter outweigh years of expectations? As the final cupcake soared, Emily pondered the answer, her breath caught in her throat. Change was in the air, but how far could it reach? And just as she was about to dive back into the joy, she caught her father's eye again, and for the briefest of moments, she wondered, was this only the beginning? Emily took a deep breath, pushing away the cloud of doubt that swept over her. Her father's laughter still echoed in her ears, the sound mixing with the joyous shouts of the children. She forced herself to focus on that moment, to frame it like a photograph in her mind, her father, frosting smeared across his face, finally showing a flicker of happiness. But the laughter began to fade, and with it came the reality that this was just a brief escape from the heavy expectations that loomed over her like a storm cloud. Taking one last look at her father, she turned back to the children, the ones who embodied joy and carefree spirit. Their smiles were contagious, illuminating the corners of her heart once shadowed by her father's words. All right, everyone. Who's ready for round 2? She shouted, determination flooding back into her voice. Cheers erupted again, and cupcakes became projectiles of liberation, each one a symbol of defiance against the expectations that bound her. She dove into the fray, dodging whipped cream and laughter, liberating a part of herself she'd buried deep inside. As the fight ensued, her mind raced with thoughts of what had just transpired. Was her father's laughter genuine, or just a momentary lapse in his strict demeanor? In the midst of the chaos, the little girl with the determined eyes reappeared beside her, a line of frosting across her tiny nose. See? I told you. Happy is the best. She exclaimed, bouncing on her toes with excitement. Emily nodded, unable to suppress a grin. You're right. It really is. Maybe if we have more cupcake fights, he'll always be happy. The girl suggested earnestly. There was a slant of innocence in her eyes, a belief that things could always change for the better if one just put enough heart into it. Maybe, Emily mused, though her heart still bled uncertainty. Could one day of joy impact weeks, months, or even years of silence and expectation? Just then, a loud gasp cut through the laughter, and Emily turned to see her father, frosting glistening on his cheeks, staring at the group. He took a step closer, still caught between amusement and something deeper. Was it longing? Suddenly, her father's gaze landed on the little girl. The child, bubbling with innocence and joy, raised her hands, smeared with frosting, as if offering a truce from the war of adulthood. It was a pure moment, untouched by the complexities of adulthood. "Can I join too?" he asked tentatively, a nervous smile creeping onto his face. An invisible weight began to lift from Emily's chest. "Yes. Come on," she cheered, motioning him to step closer. As he hesitantly moved forward, Emily could see the hesitance melt from his expression. His eyes sparkled with something that might resemble hope. The barrier he built around himself was beginning to crack, bit by bit. The little girl yanked her father's arm gently, and he dropped to his knees beside her, ready to participate in the madness. It was a baby step, but it was a step nonetheless. With his first plunge into the cupcake mess, frosting splattered across his shirt. The children shrieked in delight, and for the first time, Emily felt the distance between her and her father shrink. Could this really be shifting something inside him? As laughter rang out, it became clear that this was only the beginning of a much larger journey, one filled with uncertainty but also with hope. The unexpected connection sparked a flicker of warmth in her chest. Yet, doubt still loomed. Was a single day of joy enough to ignite real change? The question left her heart fluttering with anxiety. Their eyes met again, a silent conversation happening between them. She clung to the hope that maybe today would be the first radiating sunbeam breaking through years of gray clouds. But what came next was uncertain. And just as she was about to dive back in, another cupcake, this one larger and messier, soared across the air toward her father. Would this be another chance for connection or a reminder of the expectations that still lurked close by? The cupcake flew in slow motion, a comet of frosting soaring through the air, a moment suspended like a breath held in anticipation. Emily watched, the world around her growing quiet as hope flickered in her chest. Her father's eyes widened in surprise, and a collective gasp rippled through the children as they leaned forward, holding their breath. The sweet impact was undeniable. The cupcake hit squarely on his shoulder, splattering icing across his suit and landing with a soft thud on the floor. Laughter erupted, the kind that freed spirits and echoed off the walls, wrapping around them like a warm blanket. In that instant, Emily felt the heaviness of expectation melt away. Her father blinked, quickly wiping frosting from his cheek and breaking into a hesitant laugh. It transformed his stern visage, revealing a glimpse of the man he used to be before life's pressures hardened his heart. Okay. I guess I deserved that," he shouted, his voice breaking into genuine laughter, the warmth melting years of tension in a single moment. Emily's heart soared. This was the moment they needed. As he joined the chaos, playfulness seeped into the cold shadows that had hung over their relationship. The kids poured their energy into the game, surrounding him with joyful laughter, and Emily felt tears of relief prick at the corners of her eyes. Could they finally bridge this chasm separating them? She stepped closer, her courage buoyed by the joy swirling around them, embodying the very values she had learned over these past weeks. "Dad, this is what it's about. Community, laughter, and connection." Recognition sparked in his eyes, but something deeper lingered just below the surface. I see that now," he murmured, lost in the excitement. "But I worry I don't want you to stray too far." His fear echoed like a haunting refrain, a reminder of the weight still pressing against their fragile bond. Emily's chest tightened momentarily, yet she felt an undeniable resolve. "I want something real, not just what's expected of me. Together, we can find a way." The laughter around them blended into a chorus of understanding, a collective sigh of unity filling the air. Emily glanced at the children, their cherubic faces glowing with delight, and back to her father, standing amidst the frosting in courage. This was a new beginning, brushing against the edges of an unseen canvas, waiting for them to paint their own masterpiece. "Why not build something here?" she suggested confidently, an idea born of hope igniting her soul. "The fundraiser? Let's make it bigger than we imagined together." "Together," her father repeated softly, looking at the kids and then back at Emily, as warmth bloomed in his chest. I can help with that. A wave of excitement surged through her, anchoring her heart. Building bridges instead of walls, this was their chance to redefine everything. I can reach out to local businesses, coordinate supplies, and we can create something special for the community. He continued, his voice now grounding and steady. The children exploded with cheers, their joy bubbling over like whipped cream. As they organized and planned, she felt the barriers begin to dissolve. Fathers and daughters, communities and dreams, each thread weaving tighter, forming a brilliant tapestry of possibility. They rolled up their sleeves, immersing themselves in ambitious ideas, and Emily couldn't help but marvel at the transformation within her father. He was smiling more, and genuine laughter spilled from him with every passing moment. Between spouts of laughter, they huddled over crafts, decorating flyers and brainstorming ideas. The atmosphere buzzed with infectious energy, each moment tightening the bond between them, a bond forged in sweetness and unity. Hours flicked by like the best kind of dream, filled with laughter, cupcakes, and shared hopes. Emily realized that today wasn't just about the event, it was about healing, understanding, and choosing to embrace the vulnerabilities that made them human. As the sun began to set, washing the shelter in the golden hues of dusk. Her father embraced her shoulder, warmth radiating between them. I think I forgot how much happiness looks like, he said, his voice breaking the spell of uncertainty that hung over them for so long. Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes. Maybe we just had to find it together. They stood side by side, witnessing hope unfurling in every kid's smile, every lively chatter that filled the room. In that moment, the world outside faded into insignificance, and what mattered was the connection they had built, the community they had embraced. Real change sparked within her now, ignited by the laughter shared and hope forged. She knew this was only the beginning, the first step on a long journey to entwine her two worlds, to make her father see what life could offer beyond the golden tower. And as the hours wore on, surrounded by the joy of childhood dreams, Emily took a deep breath and savored it all, the joy, the hope, the new beginnings. With every hug shared, every joke told, and every plan made, it became clear, they were creating a new legacy together, rooted in passion, love, and connection. And just as the final cupcake fight delivered its grand finale, Emily smiled, an undeniable truth whispering through her heart. She knew she would fight for this change, this love, and this newfound family. Standing tall, hand in hand with her father, they were ready to take on whatever came next together. Now, let the world hear their laughter echo far and wide, let it be a reminder of the joy found in connection, the lesson that hope is always worth fighting for. You need to subscribe now to see how this journey unfolds. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Hit that like button and help me keep the magic alive. Your thoughts matter, so comment your feelings and reactions to this incredible transformation below. Feel the energy and unity? Let us spread it. Share instantly this story with at least 5 friends who need to see this heartfelt change. You're part of this family, let us celebrate it together.